Now they know it meant a lot. And Mexico does what we tell them to do, and Canada does what we tell them to do, because we had the two borders. We had the northern border, the southern border, and they were both horrible.
You know, sometimes you don't know what you have until you've lost it. We're fortunate. We haven't lost anything. We were threatened, and the Canadian people stood up to the Americans. We know what we have, and now we're going to build on it.
No, Presidente Trump. El territorio es inviolable, la soberanía es inviolable, la soberanía no se vende.
Donald Trump's latest claim that Canada and Mexico do what we tell them to do has sent shockwaves across North America. Far from submission, both countries responded with defiance.
And again, we don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We have more than they do. We don't need anything. We don't need their cars. I'd much rather make the cars here.
This is not an isolated remark. Since returning to the White House, Trump has pursued an aggressive policy toward America's closest neighbors, raising tariffs, threatening trade retaliation, and even suggesting Canada could become the 51st state. For Mexico, the pressure has been tied to migration and security. For Canada, it's been about sovereignty and trade. The result, rising tensions that have reshaped regional relations. In Mexico, Trump's words landed like a fresh insult on top of years of tensions. President Claudia Sheinbaum responded firmly, stressing that Mexico is a sovereign nation that does not take orders from anyone. She reminded Washington that cooperation between the two countries must be built on respect, not imposition. Mexican commentators quickly drew parallels to past disputes, from Trump's border wall rhetoric to trade fights and migration pressure, arguing that this latest statement is just one more example of disdain toward Mexico. On social media, reactions ranged from indignation to defiance, with many Mexicans calling on their government to push back harder against Washington's tone.
El presidente Trump tiene una forma de hablar, pero como lo dije ayer, el único que manda en México es el pueblo.
At the same time, Mexico has managed a delicate balance. Just days ago, Sheinbaum's government extradited 26 cartel figures to the United States, signaling cooperation where necessary, but always on Mexico's terms. For Mexicans, Trump's words are seen not just as an insult to their president but to their national dignity. In Canada, the backlash has been equally fierce, not only because of Trump's latest remark, but also due to a long history of slights and aggressive trade measures aimed at Ottawa. Prime Minister Mark Carney dismissed Trump's assertion outright, calling it absurd to think Canada would ever take orders from Washington. Some places are never for sale, he added, a pointed reminder in the wake of Trump's earlier talk of annexations.
We will defend our workers. We'll defend our companies. We'll defend our country. And we'll defend it together.
Canadian media outlets quickly framed the statement as yet another insult to national sovereignty, while public opinion on social platforms ranged from frustration to outright anger. Many Canadians recalled previous disputes over aluminum, steel, and dairy, pointing to a pattern of bullying rather than partnership. Ordinary Canadians have also made their voices heard, from cafes renaming the Americano coffee as a Canadiano, to nationwide campaigns declaring Canada is not for sale. Public pride has surged in response to Trump's remarks.
As you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace, that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever.
And the protest isn't just symbolic. Travel to the United States has dropped sharply. Car crossings down 37%, air travel down 26% compared to last year. Boycotts of U.S. products, especially alcohol, have cut exports by more than half. At hockey games, the U.S. anthem has been booed, a striking symbol of how deep the resentment now runs. One Canadian summed it up: "It's not the American people we dislike, it's one man, Donald Trump." These aren't just political quarrels. They're human stories. In Mexico, families rally around the idea that sovereignty is non-negotiable. In Canada, consumers are changing habits, choosing Canadian over American goods as an act of resistance. National pride, once taken for granted, is now lived daily, at the dinner table, in cafes, even at sporting events. The standoff raises important questions about the future of North America. Will trade ties continue to fray? Will Canada and Mexico draw even closer together as partners in response to Trump's pressure? For now, what's clear is that both nations are asserting their independence more forcefully than at any point in recent memory. Trump's words may have been meant to project strength, but they've instead fueled a wave of resistance. Trump said Canada and Mexico do what the U.S. tells them to do. The reality, both nations answered back, we govern ourselves. Sovereignty is not a bargaining chip, and for Mexico and Canada alike, national pride is not up for negotiation. And now we want to hear from you. Do you think Trump's words were just political bluster, or do they reflect a deeper imbalance of power in North America? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more clear, no-nonsense analysis of global events, make sure to hit subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next on the World Brief.